President Thomas, members of the Board of Trustees, alumni, faculty, staff, students, and other guests, welcome to the 154th Founders Day Convocation ceremony. My name is David Wall Rice, Professor of Psychology and lead of the Identity, Art, and Democracy Lab here at the college. As chair of Crown Forum and Convocations, I am pleased to share our Founders Day with you. Indeed, this is a unique Crown Forum experience, but nonetheless celebratory of our centuries plus of helping to direct and build men of ethical leadership for our so in need World House. The programming here is virtual and will proceed as printed in your program. At this time, we invite Dr. Lawrence Edward Carter, Sr., Dean of the Martin Luther King Jr. International Chapel, who will call upon our founders representative and deliver our Founders Day evocation. He will be followed by the presentation of colors and the singing of the national hymn with one stanza of Lift Every Voice and Sing. Dean Carter.
Thank you, Dr. Rice. I now call upon the 22nd pastor of Old Silver Bluff Springfield Baptist Church in Augusta, Georgia, where Morehouse College was founded in 1867. The Reverend Hardy Spurgeon Bennings III, the founder's representative, will now light the candle of the Morehouse mystique. Eternal personal spirit, out of whose infinite valuational energy and vibratory life-giving frequency this extraterrestrial vastness is sustained. We, the servants of your will in the Academy, give thanks this 154th Founders Day for our incarnational flow of time as we experience past, present, and future, while seeing more and more of our friends and family members joining the ancestors. As we look inside to change outside, help us hear the whisper of your Spirit, giving strength to weakness, courage to fear, hope to despair, and love to hate. Inspire us to never let our talents take us to a place where our character cannot sustain us. Tutor us to live in a world community with people like us and unlike us. We pray in a climate that pits us against our fellow citizens when we most need mutual civility and civic respect in order to get things accomplished for our country, for our world, but also for our city, our state, and our nation. Liberate us from easily found addictions, distresses, conspiracy theories, and disinformation seeking to divide, control, and confuse our minds. Let us not forget that grace is the conscious choice not to surrender to anger and hate. In this life, we pray to never grow weary in doing good, for future generations will not forgive us for not acting in their best interest. Teach us that by holding grievances, we cut ourselves off from the love source that created us and makes us unlike God. We rest in the spiritual insight called revelation, that the way through is the way out, and that we embrace and surrender to our new vision forward with high expectations. and that we experience stability from firmly standing on the shoulders of our Morehouse forebears. On this opportune pandemic Thursday, dear Creator, we celebrate the victory that we are still here. Stronger than ever, we go forth from glory to glory, discerning that all things are possible with God consciousness, stepping progressively through faith into the new territory of our unfolding, trusting the universe, leaning on the knowingness that life is conspiring for our good, with everything working for our highest and the very best, always. Amen.
Of course, it is tradition for Founders Day Convocation to be presided over by our Chief Academic Officer, Provost, and Vice President of Academic Affairs. We are fortunate that Morehouse has earned vibrant new leadership in this role. We know it proper that the formal introduction of our new Provost be done by our President. Accordingly, at this time, I invite Dr. David A. Thomas, Morehouse's 12th President, to introduce our new Provost.
Good morning, everyone, and happy Founders Day. When I began my journey as president, I was fortunate to have the leadership of Provost Michael Hodge as my chief academic partner. To guide the college's curriculum and academic programs, we made significant progress in key academic areas during exceedingly challenging times. For this, we thank Dr. Hodge and wish him much success in his new position as Executive Director of the Atlanta University Center Consortium. Today, I am pleased to introduce to you our new Senior Vice President and Provost, Dr. Kendrick Brown. After an extensive search led by both a professional search firm and faculty-based search committee, Kendrick Brown's stellar credentials were presented to me as the scholar and proven academic administrator who met the approval from faculty, students, staff, and alumni. Dr. Brown received his Bachelor of Arts degree in psychology from Mount Union College and received both his master's degree in psychology and his PhD degree in social psychology from the University of Michigan. He comes to Morehouse after serving as Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences at the University of Redlands in Redlands, California. Prior to his tenure at Redlands, Brown served as a senior administrator at Macalester College in St. Paul, Minnesota, where he served as acting provost and chief academic officer, as well as associate dean of the faculty. He is joined on his journey at Morehouse by his wife, Dr. Hideko Sarah, who will also serve as the college's first associate dean of student services for diversity, equity, and inclusion. Please welcome Provost and Senior Vice President of Academic Affairs, Dr. Kendrick Brown, who will bring our occasion.
Thank you, President Thomas. Good morning to all members of the Morehouse family. I am deeply honored to have been appointed Provost and Senior Vice President for Academic Affairs at this most prestigious institution of higher education. Although I've only been here for just a few weeks, I am excited to begin working with a distinguished faculty and incredibly talented students to build upon the wonderful legacy of educating African American men to lead meaningful lives of leadership and service. I wish to acknowledge the presence of our faculty in this virtual space and thank them for their dedication and service. I also want to thank my wife, Dr. Hideko Sarah, for joining me on this journey. I want to also recognize the class of 2021, who will be my first class of graduating seniors, and the class of 2024, who are joining us for their first on-campus experience. And now I offer the occasion, my first ceremonial duty as provost. Founders Day is one of the most significant events of the academic year because it marks the beginning of an end to the systemic oppression of Black men, which we have yet to see. The founders envisioned that this educational enterprise, though humble, rooted in a liberal arts education and steeped in moral teachings and ethics, would transform its students and, in so doing, the world. We marvel that through the 400 plus years of the African sojourn in America, Morehouse College has been a haven and resource for Black male excellence for 154 years. The Morehouse legacy is well known and acknowledged for its transformation of individuals, families, local and global communities. Our alumni are celebrated in every field of endeavor, For this, we are thankful and open our arms to the global community to join us in our rejoicing. As a social psychologist and staunch proponent of the liberal arts tradition, I fully support educating men who will lead lives of leadership and service. This mission continues to fulfill the needs of humanity and the surprising challenges we faced. It is not lost on me that I come to this institution amidst a worldwide pandemic occurring simultaneously with widespread civil unrest and divisive politics at home and abroad. This year, our Founders Day extends the celebration of American milestones, the 38th observance of the national holiday of our treasured alumnus, Martin Luther King Jr., class of '48, and the profound victory of Reverend Raphael Warnock, class of '91, as the first African-American senator from Georgia. From Dr. King's contributions to the civil rights movement to the realization of the dream and Warnock's win, this is proof positive of the continuum of Morehouse College as a force of nature in higher education and social justice. Of greatest peril are the lives of Black men and their families who are all at risk no matter their education or background. The greatest indignity and suffering are visited among the African American population. Yet, Morehouse College looms large from these dark concerns like a beacon or lighthouse. This is the same light that emanated from its founding in 1867 for newly freed slaves. Morehouse College continues in the 21st century as a place of refuge, physically, mentally, and spiritually, where students can learn, seek their identities, and their careers of endeavor. I commit the duration of my career for as long as I am needed to advance the cause of the founding fathers of Morehouse College. This is our occasion and mandate for our 154th Founders Day observance today. Thank you. I now invite Mr. Willie E. Woods, President of ICV Partners, a member of the class of 1985 and Chairman of the Board, to bring greetings on behalf of the Board of Trustees.
Thank you, Provost Brown, for that introduction, and welcome to the Morehouse family. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I bring you greetings on behalf of the Board of Trustees of Morehouse College. First, I would like to thank President Thomas and the entire Morehouse College community for setting the stage for the first ever virtual Founders Day celebration to commemorate the 154th observance of the founding of Morehouse College. Each Founders Day comes with unique settings and context in which we celebrate as time and history writes new chapters in the lives of humankind. I am amazed and grateful that the narrative of Morehouse's historical significance and its consistent legacy for producing excellence is found in every chapter of the world's historical record since its founding in 1867. Last year, just after Founders Day, the college had to suspend its operations and evacuate the campus due to the worldwide pandemic of COVID-19. Yet, faculty, staff, and students persevered to maintain our community just as the administration, faculty, and students had to do during a similar worldwide pandemic almost 100 years ago. In the midst of this threat to human life, young people throughout the world, including our own Morehouse students, decided to also confront the systemic racism that plagues this country with massive demonstrations and protests. Yet, they remained committed to their studies, and our seniors had to forego their rites of passage of traditional graduation ceremony and to continue to pursue their postgraduate plans and participate in the college's first ever virtual commencement. The college faced financial challenges and loss of revenue, but the Morehouse community responded better than anyone could have imagined. For this and so much more, your Board of Trustees is eternally grateful to every parent, student, professor, staff, graduate, and supporter for sustaining us during these very challenging times. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, I salute this crucible of higher education, Morehouse College, as we celebrate 154 years of excellence, scholarship, and service. Thank you. The voices of our students resound loudly in the American landscape. We are proud to honor their voices as part of Founders Day due to the support of my predecessor as chairman of the Morehouse College Board of Trustees, Reverend Dr. Otis Moss Jr., class of 1956, and his son, Reverend Dr. Otis Moss III, class of 1992. I now introduce Otis Moss III, class of 1992, like his father is a former trustee of the college and a well-known and revered minister and orator. He will announce the students who have won the Otis Moss Jr. and the Otis Moss III Oratorical contest. This is to be followed by a musical selection by the Morehouse College Glee Club.
Chairman Woods, Dean Carter, and Professor Criquet, and to the entire Morehouse community, on behalf of the Moss family, I thank you for this opportunity. Oratory and debate have been a favorite activity at Morehouse College since the school's early days in Augusta, Georgia. To maintain that tradition, my father, Dr. Otis Moss Jr., a proud graduate of the class of 1956, instituted this contest in 1999 to encourage student oratory and speech on matters that concern them. I am pleased as an alumnus of this magnificent institution that I now join in my father's legacy in presenting these awards, which consists of a plaque and a monetary stipend that will be mailed to the awardees. I'm also delighted that on this day that we are with you virtually, that my father is also joining us to present the awards to these wonderful young brothers.
Dr. David Thomas, President of Morehouse College, Dr. Leah Criquet, Professor of English, Dr. Allison Bacon, Associate Professor, to alumnus Dr. Otis Moss III, co-sponsor of the Oratorical contest named in our honor. I am pleased to congratulate the following winners of the 2021 winners of the Otis Moss III and the Otis Moss Jr. Oratorical contest. Honorable mention, Devin Pinkston, class of 22. Third place, Jeremiah Davis, class of 22. Second place, Cameron Nolan, class of 21. First place, Alexander Walton, class 2023. Again, congratulations and thanks to the leadership and co-sponsor in this wonderful, meaningful, fulfilling oratorical contest.
I'm building me a home. 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 This earthly house. This earthly house. It's gonna soon decay. It's gonna soon decay. And my soul gotta have. And my soul gotta have somewhere to stay. Oh my Lord, praying. I'm building me a home. I'm building me a home. When you hear me praying. When you hear me praying. I'm building me a home. Oh my Lord. This earthly house. This earthly house. It's gonna soon decay. And my soul gotta have. And my soul gotta have somewhere to stay. Through many dangers, toils and snares, I have already come. I've already come. Grace me safe thus far, and I know it will lead me home. When you hear me moaning, I'm building me a home. When you hear me moaning, I'm building me a home. This earthly house is gonna soon decay, and my soul gotta have, Lord, somewhere to stay. When you hear me shouting, 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 building me a home. Yes, my Lord. When you hear me shouting, yes, Lord, shouting, shouting, my Lord. This earthly house, yes, it's gonna soon decay, and my soul gotta have, and my soul gotta have, and my soul, and my soul somewhere to stay, my
Thank you, Dr. Morrow, and all the members of the magnificent Glee Club for blessing us with that moving musical selection. We will continue to be uplifted with a message of inspiration from our Founders Day speaker. It is my pleasure to introduce our special guest, Ernest Andrew Brooks III, a member of the class of 2005. Our speaker today is well known within the Morehouse College and theological communities. Some of you may remember him from his days as a precocious but fun-loving student who majored in religion, expanding his course of study in ethics and culture. Some of you may have met him after he returned from Duke University with a master's in nonprofit and philanthropic management to serve as the trustee aide to Dean Lawrence Carter as Assistant Dean of the Martin Luther King Jr. International Chapel. Ernest is an alumni fellow of the Aspen Institute Socrates Seminars. His service on national and local governing and advisory boards includes interfaith community initiatives, Movement Forward, Omicron Delta Kappa National Leadership Honor Society, just to name a few. Ernest Brooks frequently lectures in the areas of ethical leadership, intercultural education, spiritual development, and vocational discernment. For Ernest, this is not just Founders Day, this is homecoming. We have missed his presence on our campus and are so eager to hear his voice as he delivers what I am sure will be a memorable and valuable Founders Day message.
Good morning. It is an honor to be with you on this occasion of the 154th commemoration of the founding of Morehouse College. I'm grateful for the invitation and want to thank our president, Dr. David Thomas, the Morehouse College Board of Trustees, the Founders Day Committee, and the keeper of the Morehouse mystique, my mentor of long standing, Dean Lawrence Edward Carter, Sr., for this opportunity to address you this morning. Our dear sister, Coretta Scott King, spouse and partner of our celebrated brother, Martin Luther King Jr., in a message to disillusioned young activists questioning the progress of the civil rights movement since the 1950s and 60s, is quoted as saying, "Struggle is a never-ending process. Freedom is never really won. You earn it and win it in every generation." Let me repeat, struggle is a never-ending process. Freedom is never really won. You earn it and win it in every generation. In light of the conviction of this received wisdom from our dear elder, I'd like to speak with you this morning from the theme, an appeal to the current and future founders of Morehouse College. Today, February 11th, 2021, we celebrate the 154th commemoration of the founding of Morehouse College in the basement of the Springfield Baptist Church in Augusta, Georgia. I submit to you that while February 14th, 1867 is celebrated as the date that the Augusta Institute was founded under the leadership of the Reverend William Jefferson White with support from Reverends Turney and Coulter, the seeds of the institution that would in time come to be known as Morehouse College were planted well before that moment. One could make the case that those seeds were planted in the kingdoms and villages of the 17th, 18th, and 19th centuries along the west coast of Africa before being uprooted. Those seeds were then nourished by the salt waters of the Atlantic and the saltier tears, sweat, and blood of our ancestors as they endured the terror of the Middle Passage, before ultimately being planted again in the fertile soil of the Low Country between Charleston and Savannah, before finally sprouting up in due time along the banks of the Savannah River, activated by the march of General William Tecumseh Sherman's troops to the sea in the winter of 1864. On January 10th, 1866, just 13 months after Sherman's march, with the smell of gunpowder still lingering in the air, and 13 months prior to the founding of the Augusta Institute, a historic and prescient gathering took place in the sanctuary of the Springfield Baptist Church in Augusta. According to historian Edward Cashin in his book, Old Springfield, Race and Religion in Augusta, Georgia, he provides this historical narrative of the time. 38 delegates from 11 Georgia counties met at Springfield and listened to General Tilson, regional head of the Freedmen's Bureau, give us the usual advice about conciliating white people and working hard. Cashin writes that Tilson must have disappointed hearers when he flatly stated that Blacks should not expect the right to vote because they lacked the necessary education. After Tilson left, the delegates addressed a petition to the Georgia legislature referring to their faithfulness during the late war and asking for what they called simple justice. They reminded the legislators that the dust of our fathers mingle with yours in the same graveyards. They believed that Georgia belonged to them as well as the legislators. The delegates asked for inclusion on juries, civil treatment on railroads, and the right to vote. Now, here's the key from Cashin's narration of this historic gathering. These individuals gathered on January 10th, 1866 in Springfield Baptist Church predicted that in the not too distant future, young Black persons would be doctors and lawyers, ministers and army officers and other kinds of professionals. Don't lose sight of this important prediction a full year prior to the founding of the institution that would come to be known as Morehouse College. That was significant, yes, but that wasn't the only thing that happened during that gathering. Cashin continues to write, the convention passed a series of resolutions asking for legal recognition of Black men's, quote, full dignity of manhood. I posit that this demand for full dignity of manhood was the central plank in the foundation that would be laid over the next 13 months, leading to the founding of the Augusta Institute. It is also this demand from this group of freed men and women that sits at the heart of the mission of the modern Morehouse College to develop men with disciplined minds who will lead lives of leadership and service. I further submit to you this morning, my dear Morehouse family, that the founding of the Augusta Institute was no accident, nor was it creation ex nihilo, out of nothing. Rather, it is from this firmament of freedom, from these seeds of social change, and as a result of the felicitous foresight of our ancestors, that the institution we know today as Morehouse College was born, when it was born, where it was born, and by the hands of the people that gave birth to it. Our founding documents may record the founding of the institution in February 1867, but the seeds of our founding were planted well before that most auspicious date. And our founding impulses have continued to resonate and reverberate throughout history to this very day. And as long as we continue to steward the gift that we have been given, they will continue to resonate and reverberate well into the future. Contrary to popular belief and the physical evidence that one may marshal to support the seemingly self-evident claim, I submit to you this morning that Morehouse College is not a place. Morehouse College does not just exist on the red clay hill at 830 Westview Drive in Southwest Atlanta. We are Morehouse, yes, embedded in flesh and blood, but even us, we can't claim ownership of Morehouse at her essence. You see, Morehouse is a dream that is at once realized and still being revealed. Morehouse is an idea whose time had come in 1867, and it remains an aspirational ideal represented by the crown that each of us is perpetually striving to grow tall enough to wear. The seeds of Morehouse may have been planted in 1867, but the tree that has become Morehouse College as we know it today is still growing and evolving. Our roots are still discovering untapped sources of strength and sustenance. Our branches continue to extend in new directions and stretch toward new territory. Our flowers are budding, our leaves are growing, our blooms are thriving, our seeds are spreading and replicating with new attributes, with new tastes, with new vulnerabilities and ever-evolving defining characteristics, but also with layers of lessons and experiences that have formed a trunk of resilience that grows stronger and stronger year after year and stands the test of time. In his work, Benjamin Elijah Mays, schoolmaster of the movement, historian Randall Jelks calls Dr. Mays, our sixth president, an organic intellectual. This term was coined by social theorist Antonio Gramsci, who posited that in order for the oppressed, those whom he called the subalterns of society, to counter their oppression, they must generate their own organic intellectuals who will help shatter the prevailing conventional wisdom of those in power. In the spirit of Dr. Mays, Morehouse is in the business of cultivating, refining, and sending forth class after class, year after year, and generation after generation of organic intellectuals who transform their own minds and spirits, yes, but not only for their own interest or for their own sakes alone, but they transform their minds and their spirits with the overarching intention of transforming the world. Not only that, but I submit that in this process of personal and social transformation, those of us who are transformed at Morehouse also engage in the work of transforming the place that we know as Morehouse. Morehouse is changed by us just as much as we are changed by Morehouse. From advanced Sunday school class to seminary and normal institution, from finishing school to world-class liberal arts institution, from producer of degreed professionals to the social conscience of the nation and the world, we are heirs to the great Morehouse legacy. But we are also the current and future founders of the Morehouse idea, fashioning and refashioning the Morehouse ideal that we are all striving to live into. In his September 18th, 1940 address to the freshman class of Morehouse College, his first address as president, Dr. Mays issued the following appeal, and I quote, "When I welcome you here, I am welcoming you to a great institution, an institution with great traditions. If Morehouse College stands in any danger, it is the danger that threatens all outstanding institutions and all successful individuals. We may come to feel our past achievements are so great that we can move along on past reputation. Nothing could be more damaging or demoralizing. If Morehouse College is to continue to be great," Dr. Mays said, "it must continue to produce outstanding personalities. We welcome you, therefore, to an institution whose achievements have called forth the respect and the admiration of the thinkers of America. It is our task," he said, "to continue and increase this high regard which they hold for us." You see, Morehouse is not just an institution with buildings. It is not just a faculty with students and alumni. Morehouse is an idea. Morehouse is a spirit, a zeitgeist, a prophetic demand, a dream realized, reinterpreted, and revisited again and again and again. In the words of America's forever poet laureate Maya Angelou, Morehouse is literally the hope and dream of the slave, perpetually bringing forth the gifts that our ancestors gave. Now, you may accuse me of blasphemy, and I must admit that I would consider that a badge of honor. But it is not hyperbole to claim that the salvation of this nation literally rests on the shoulders of Morehouse College, as well as our sister institutions founded with support from the Freedmen's Bureau, the American Missionary Association, the American Baptist Home Mission Society, and other denominational entities of various stripes at the dawning of our reconstituted nation in the embers of the Civil War. The education that you are receiving here is not yours alone. No, this education is not just for your benefit. It is not just for your future success. It is for the liberation of a people. It is for the uplift of a race, for the salvation of a nation, and for the hope of a world where swords are beaten into plowshares, where those who have been cast aside now have the opportunity to be lifted up, where those who have been locked up and locked out are now set free and welcomed in, where doctors who have known pain and agony are now entrusted to care for the sick and wounded with empathy, where teachers who themselves were once written off now have the ability to write in and teach future generations, where the sons and daughters of sharecroppers now have the opportunity to become captains of industry, yet never losing sight of where they come from. This is the mission and the mandate of Morehouse College. It is no accident that a Morehouse man is the first African American and only the fourth non-president with a monument on the National Mall in Washington, D.C. Nor is it an accident that another Morehouse man, from the same pulpit no less, now stands in the United States Senate as the first African American senator elected from the state of Georgia. Those realities and so many others of achievement and accomplishment, of hope and of support, of investment, of dreams realized are the realization of the hopes and dreams of those gathered in the Springfield Baptist Church on January 10th, 1866, and those who gathered again in that very same place on February 14th, 1867, to found an institution that would come to be known as Morehouse College. So men of Morehouse, take up your mantle. God has placed a crown above your head that you must now grow tall enough to wear. Now it's up to you to do the work, to win the prize, to wear the crown. But do not hold on to it for yourselves alone, for there are those who come behind you whose candles must be lit, whose flames must be nourished and nurtured so that they too may grow tall enough to wear the crown. This is your gift, but it is also your charge. As the current and future founders of Morehouse College, your mission, no, your mandate is to make this world and this college live up to and into its highest ideals. You are heirs to a great legacy and stewards of a divine gift. My prayer is that you may grow tall enough to wear the crown, yes, but that you may also do the even harder work of ensuring that this crown becomes a little more attainable for those who come behind you. Not as a result of lowered standards, no, never that, but as a result of increased opportunities, of enhanced preparation, of expanded networks, of extended hands, of opened doors, and out of an abundance of resources. The seeds have been planted. The challenge has been made. The stage has been set. The charge has been given. Now it's time for you, for all of us, to get to work in the founding and refounding of this institution that we know and love, for a new generation, for new demands that this world is calling for us to meet. The stage has been set. The challenge is yours.